We know that what women is lacking presently is empowerment in the areas of financial capacity, economic capacity. Today's event symbolized the official flag of the domestications of the African Union in decade 2020-2030, African women's and girl child financial and economic inclusions in Nigeria.
One of the outcomes of the February 2020 African Union Summit held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia was the declaration of the years 2020 to 2030 as the new decade of women's financial and economic inclusion. In the declaration, African leaders recommitted to scale up actions for the progressive gender inclusion towards sustainable development at the national, regional, and continental levels.
This new decade of actions marks another 10 years of opportunity to strengthen, collaborate, and re-energize our efforts towards achieving gender equality for African women.
Inequality and poverty are intertwined, and therefore this decade will dwell specifically in building strategies around catalyzing and breaking that cycle.
The fact is that women in Nigeria are laboring, striving, indeed slaving to feed their families, contribute to their community, upliftment, as well as to national development against all odds and in the context of inadequate institutional, cultural, and relational support.
Nigeria will be one of the few African countries to domesticate this new decade. This is a proof of leadership and commitment to women and gender issues. So with this mechanism being put in place, a lot of the Nigerian women will be able to have financial support.
Today we celebrate the fact that government has realized the potential of women in economic development of nations and saw it fit to implement this project. Therefore, we are slowly but surely winning the race against poverty, ignorance, and gender inequality.
The insurgents today and those young men and women in the forest and those who terrorize our nation were all born of women. But I'm sure they are born of mothers who lack, and mothers who have nothing to take care of them.
The inclusion should look downward to the grassroots and look at those rural women and their needs in terms of economic empowerment.
One of the main objectives of this new decade is the development of market access through new credit solutions for women, generating access for infrastructure in downstream processing and distribution, as well as training them in agro-industrial technology. Achieving financial inclusion for women would require overcoming socio-cultural norms and gender barriers.
As a government, we remain committed to promoting women's inclusion into governance and decision-making at all levels of the Nigerian economy.
We want to support the government of Nigeria and both the federal and the state level in whichever area the financial inclusion will benefit women.
We must all collectively join hands and leverage on each other's comparative advantages to make women and girls' participation in inclusion a reality.
I will take this charge to the Nigeria Governors Forum, and I assure you that all of us, 36 governors of Nigeria, are going to commit to this declaration and implementation for the economic and financial inclusion of women in this decade.
In our time, as we continue to raise the bar and push the narrative, break barriers on seeing more women participate in governance, leadership, become empowered to have financial inclusion.
Today, Africa, as a tree of life, spreads its branches as a continent and as a distinction of an emblem to the world, particularly for the cause of the African woman all across the world.
On behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, to the glory of God Almighty, we unveil this now. Thank you.
I'm really honored, to have this kind of platform. I never knew it's going to be in this format, but all glory be to God for giving me this kind of people to appreciate what we've been doing over the years.
I'm happy with this program today, and I know that would add a positive impact into the process of women inclusion in our economy.